The procedures shown in this video involve working with electrical components. Before attempting any repairs or disassembly on your stand-up mixer, follow these safety precautions. Unplug the mixer. Always disconnect the appliance from power before opening or handling any electrical parts. Discharge any stored electricity. Some components may hold residual charge. Proceed with caution. Use proper tools. Avoid damage and injury by using insulated tools and following proper techniques. Know your limits. If you're unsure or uncomfortable with electrical work, consult a qualified professional. Dub warning. Tampering with electrical components can be dangerous and may void your warranty. I am not responsible for any damage, injury, or consequences resulting from attempting these repairs. Proceed at your own risk. Stay safe and work carefully.
Welcome back. This is episode 6, where we get to finish this beautiful rustic Montana table with a rich and amazing history. So first things first, we're gonna get started and I'm gonna use the belt sander. Now, a few things about belt sanders. When you put the belt sander down on a surface and you turn it on, the thing is going to go running straight off the edge of your table. It is a heavy piece of equipment. There is going to be a ton of dust kicking up from this, and a lot of dust can get into your lungs and into your eyes. So please make sure that you are doing what I'm going to be doing in this video, which is wearing glasses, and as well, I'm actually wearing an N100 mask. I don't suggest that you necessarily need to run out and buy a mask of that caliber, but please make sure you're N95 and higher, okay? And as COVID has made us all very familiar in our types of masks, hopefully you guys have a few kicking around in your house. Now, what we're gonna do today is sand this down, and you'll see on the table, there's a lot of rivets and it's quite uneven. And I want to keep some of that, but I also have a 3-year-old who likes to mash food into my table. There's also a lot of holes as well. So they had, this is reclaimed barnwood, and there's a few holes that I want to fill in. So we're going to also explore putting filler in different parts of the table. Now, when you're trying to fill wood, if you are not going to paint it, you are going to want to try and find yourself a wood filler that is as close to your wood color as possible. And a lot of the high quality wood fillers are actually a paste mixed with sawdust, okay? And so luckily I'm trying to match pine, which is quite an easy universal wood to be trying to match. So I picked up some filler at my local store, and I'm able to go through and fill in some of those holes where the crumbs and the stickiness and the mess all has been accumulating. And so by doing that, when I go to wipe down our table, it is going to be significantly easier to keep clean, and maybe a few less crevices for my daughter to find somewhere to jam that food she doesn't want to eat. So stay tuned. We're gonna get the belt sander out, and it's gonna kick up a lot of dust, but the finish is gonna be worth it. Hey everybody, so the table is dry, and you can see it is a lot less glossy. Of course, we still have some stain on here, so now it's gonna be time to sand. And I'm gonna sand from kind of here to here using my regular sander. And then on these end bits, which we obviously want to keep the integrity, I'm gonna use a sander that has a sponge built in, and you'll see that when we get to that point. So let's get started. I'm gonna mask up and put on glasses, make sure I've got all my protective gear on, and I'm going to start sanding. Great. All right, guys, before I mask up, I'm gonna use some sandpaper that is an 80 grit. Now, most places will recommend starting with 120. This isn't exactly, you know, a fine piece of furniture that we have to be very like cautious with. So I'm going for maximum amounts of grind here. So I'm going to start with these. I'll probably go through a few of them. And then once we do sanding at 80, I think we'll move up to 120 and then finally finish off with a 220 to get it smooth. But we're going to progress and see how it goes. So I'm going to mask up and start sanding. So I decided when I was doing this project that I didn't like the base of the table. The base of our table was really clunky. I hit my knees all the time. My daughter hit her head all of the time. The dog hated it. It wasn't the best. So I decided that we were going to build a new base. Now, this isn't something that you should be intimidated by. The most critical thing about building a base for a table is to make sure that it's braced well. And you're gonna see here that what I do is I create a box for the legs to sit and lean up against. And then I put braces on the inside of that box to brace the legs. I'm using 2x4s, and this gives pressure on both sides to help hold that table leg in place. And there's a variety of different ways to do this. There are some tables where you can buy a plate, screw it on, and then twist a pair of legs on. That's not my preferred method. At that point, no one could jump and sit on the table, and when you have kids, that happens. So I really wanted to make sure that the base of my table was really, really well braced. So you are gonna see sort of that physics at work as I prepare the new bottom for our table, which won't have me smacking my knees or clunking our heads anymore. Okay, everybody, I have done a bunch of cutting to get us ready to secure the table legs. I used just some scrap wood I had lying around. This is gonna act as sort of a hat for the underside of the leg that attaches to the table. So we're gonna attach this like that, and then we will attach this to the table like this. To give some added extra support, I have created sort of this box structure, which is gonna be a bit of a brace for the table legs. That's gonna be the last piece that gets attached. And you'll see it's gonna provide sort of that support on this outer side for this leg. Afterwards, we can add a few pieces of wood if we still are concerned about stability on the inner part. You can put some braces in here, but we'll see how this table feels and we'll go from there. All right, time to attach legs. All right, my friends, it's time to attach these little hats to the table leg. So this is a little awkward. I wish I had a brace or a vise or something to be able to ensure this is kind of held in the right place. I have these markers, which I'm gonna just make sure it's all lined up under here. And then we're gonna drill our first pilot hole. So the reason we drill a pilot hole is because this is incredibly hard wood. This is hemlock, and hemlock needs a pilot hole or you will break screws off and you will never get through this wood. So we do what is called a pilot hole to get through. Now, I gotta tell you guys, I only started using a drill 8 months ago. So if you're intimidated, just give it a try. You'll get used to it and it'll become one of your favorite tools. It's just, I use it for everything now. I can't imagine, I don't know how I lived 41 years of my life without one. Okay, we got that first one done. What I like to do is I like to put a screw in and it keeps this plate in place while you do the other pilot holes. When you're drilling a pilot hole, things can shift around and we really want to make sure that's not going to happen. So you can see it did shift a little under here. So I line it back up again and we'll put a screw in, hopefully. Hopefully it works. It didn't get off balance or out of alignment rather. So let's see what we got. Woo! All right, she moved on me. And we quickly put it back. And I gotta hold this a little more firmly, don't I? Okay, good, one's in. So with that in, I should be able to safely, as you can see, it's nice and lined up with those pen marks I made. I should be able to safely do the rest of the pilot holes and put the rest of the screws in. You're gonna do this with all 4 of the legs and then we're going to secure it to the table. All right, guys, I have put the little hats that I was calling them on the table legs, and now it's basically just timed to secure everything that's on here. So definitely starting with securing our little hats. Now this can just come off. I just had it in place here to make sure I knew where I was going with things. Now that I do, oh, I already put a screw in there. Perfect. So you take this out and just put some more screws and secure this a little bit more. All right. So you'll want to throw a couple screws here and here and here, all four sides, and it'll just give that extra security. I mean, we've got one in right now, so it's very wobbly, but once you have four in, it's going to feel rock solid. All right, the next thing I want to do is secure these corners together. So I'm going to put a nice long construction screw right through one side to the other. Trying to make sure this is still lined up. There we go. So you're going to do that on all four corners. And that is going to secure your bracket. All right, guys, the last piece of this puzzle. We're going to cut some corner pieces like this as a bracket to support the inside of our table leg. So you will cut a couple pieces like that, measure, slide them in, and then you will put a screw right through there and right through here. You'll do that on all four sides, and then we've got our base made. When it comes to sealing your beautiful table after you've done all of your hard work, there are a ton of options. There are oil-based sealers. There are water-based sealers. You can choose from matte all the way up to glossy and everything in between. I myself prefer a matte look. I find it makes the wood look natural. It is absolutely critical and imperative that you seal your new piece of furniture. If any water or any liquid of any kind ends up on your table, it will seep into the wood and it will ruin the wood. The wood will expand, it will leave stains, and you don't want that after you've done all this hard work. So for me, I chose a water-based matte polyurethane. It is one of my favorite finishes to work with. And you will want to put a minimum of 3 coats. It does dry incredibly quickly. After an hour, it will be dry to the touch and you can reapply. If you have 3 coats of a water-based polyurethane on your table, you're going to be able to have liquid spill anywhere and sit on there. I even had milk dry on it the other day and I was able to wipe it off with complete and total ease. So please, whatever you do, make sure that every project you're working on has been sealed properly. You don't want it ruined. And I am so grateful that you have followed along watching me restore this table. It is in our dining room now and it looks tremendous. It feels like having a brand new table, but at the same time, I have this amazing piece of history. I didn't contribute to the landfill, and it's something that I feel really proud of when someone comes in and says, "Oh, you redid that table, Jill. That looks great." So thank you so much, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Hi everyone. I just want to say thank you so much for following along and watching my series of episodes for London Road Restoration. This project is so tremendously passionate and a huge piece of my heart. I feel so strongly about the quality of furniture from decades ago and how bringing it and breathing new life into it is an art and something to be cherished. I have seen so many pieces that are gorgeous with a long history that are just being thrown in the landfill. And this takes forever to break down. The products that are available from some of the big box stores are being produced overseas, and a lot of them are being made with formaldehyde. Now, that kind of a chemical is not something that I want in my house, and it's not something that I want around my child. So taking an old piece that was handcrafted and restoring it yourself and choosing however you want to restore it, low VOC, totally environmentally friendly, is just something that will give you a sense of pride and a sense of peace on what kind of pieces of furniture you're putting in your home. I am very excited to continue sharing this journey. I am hopeful that London Road Restoration gets to keep restoring and keep sharing more how-to videos with you. I have a whole list of projects that I am dying to sink my teeth into, and I cannot wait to impart some of the things that I've learned through trial and error or have learned from some of the people around me. And the best thing you can probably do is get a piece of furniture and just go for it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can screw up along the way. I certainly did. But there is an unbelievable sense of pride when you get your first piece of furniture done and you step back and you know that you contributed to its history and that you've given it some life and it gets to continue on. Thank you so much. And I hope that I get to share more with you in season 2.